This afternoon, I posted a very short video just talking about how to make a YouTube channel by hating on Sarasota Tim. I just want to, and I've had quite a few, people calling me a hater, and they're attacking me in comments anyway. I don't know that, and hopefully, because I really would rather not be attacked too much, but they're attacking me for calling them out on it. And I didn't actually mention anyone's name, except for I did put their handles, their YouTube channels in the description of that video. I did do that, but I didn't mention anyone by name in the little video. I just said, boy, it looks to me like the best way to make get a lot of subscribers on a YouTube channel is to badmouth Sarasota Tim, hate on Sarasota Tim. So let me just say, I first heard of him, I believe it would have been last summer. And at that time, I was starting to look into the concept of retirement, even retirement a little bit earlier. I've been planning on retiring in February of 2025 for about 5 years. And circumstances happened that made me kind of rethink that a little bit. And so I started looking at information on retirement, early retirement. And there were some things about Sarasota Tim's material that I didn't go along with. For instance, he was talking about retiring at 62, and he was at that time kind of anti-Medicare Advantage. And so I chose, my wife did retire at 62, but I chose to wait till, I'm 66 and 7 months or whatever it's going to be that Social Security says I should do. But then some things changed, and so I was watching Sarasota Tim and some others as well, Azul, some others as well, but some things changed. My wife in January of 2023 found cancer, so that required surgeries, chemotherapy, and radiation. The chemotherapy began in May, and so very shortly after I started watching Sarasota Tim, I kind of had to stop watching him because we started focusing on the chemotherapy. His surgery was in April of last year. March, I think it was, maybe March. Chemotherapy began in May and lasted very intense chemotherapy with all the doctor's appointments and everything. It lasted all the way through the summer into about October. And then there was a month of preparation as we got ready for the radiation. At the same time, my son relocated. He was my assistant pastor. He relocated and took the pastorate of this church in Republic, Washington. And that process of candidating and all of that took from about November of last year until he moved here in March of 2024, which also required, or didn't require, but kind of sped up my plans for retirement and relocation. So there was the sale of our house, and which all of that means that from probably September through the middle or end of April, it might have been just the very end of April that I kind of started watching Sarasota Tim again. And it's obvious he had made some moves. Tammy was gone. He's got a bigger trailer. And he is now on the West Coast. And so I kind of followed him as he made that drive across the West Coast, across the United States over to Nevada. So I freely admit there may have been some things that happened in all of that. I did ask him, I said, boy, some life changes. He said, yeah, everything's changed from location to relationships and everything's changed, but he's still got a very, very personable way about him. He hasn't seemed like he's changed much about what he thinks about retiring at age 62. It doesn't seem like much has changed as he'd talk to a rock and that kind of stuff. So he just seems like a nice kind of fella, except for started following him again. And all of a sudden I start finding all of these sites now. Instead of getting videos from Sarasota Tim, I'm getting videos about Sarasota Tim. I've got people who are mocking him in parodies and some people just hating on him. And 2 or 3 guys that the only thing in their channels is things about or against Sarasota Tim. I just personally see very little reason to do that. I'd rather see us put in something positive. Now, a person might be able to accuse me and say, well, you're not being positive right now because you're you know, saying something negative about us saying something negative. So you're not being positive, and, you know, argue, well put. But I would just like to see us put in some good material. I'd like to see some helpful material about retirement. And you know, I'm pretty young, 60, I'll turn 66 next month. And so I like to see some things that are helpful for me with Medicare, helpful for me with insurances in general, helpful for me with security, Social Security, handling that. My wife and I are living in an RV right now. The plan is that we'll build a small house here in Republic, but right now we're living in a 37-foot fifth wheel, and I just got through buying a little 17-foot R-Pod so that we can do some quick trips and traveling and those sorts of things. I just like to see some positive stuff, some encouraging things that help us in this new stage of life, rather than just, you know, focusing on, you know, hating one guy because you don't like how he's doing it. And you know, I don't like much about, you know, there's things to not like about everybody and how they do things. And so I heard Sarasota Tim say, "I do me, and why don't you do you?" And let's just talk about it and learn how, you know, if there's something you don't care for, it might be okay to say that. Probably is okay to say, here's my alternative, but rather than, but to just badmouth a guy and try to get subscriptions for that seems a little ridiculous and petty, and probably not worthy of our years.